I'm always curious to ask folks who do prayer as their main practice what it's like for them. And um, oh, I don't know. I apparently I'm just being extra blunt tonight, so sorry about that. But
Hit
but
me.
most people don't really have the like phenomenological affordances to describe it in a way that actually answers the questions that I want to ask and
Yeah.
to hear what it's actually like for them. So I would be curious to hear like a first person report for you. I mean, you already said some things, but like of what it's like for you when you pray and I don't know. Oh, I mean, one just like uh, very gross level is like how discursive is it? Like whether you're using words or not words, and then if it's not words, like what that's like for you and things
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. This is one topic where if I had, so I could fill like 200 hours of interviews on
Uh-huh.
this stuff. I just absolutely, no question, I absolutely could. Like, not even kidding.
Uh-huh.
Um,
I
but
believe it.
yeah, it's just yeah, it's so fascinating to me, and I think important as well. I do different things. One thing I can say. I often figure out what I'm going to be doing. I start thinking about it as I'm going into it, and I let myself be just thoughtful. It's like, okay, how am I going to do this today? Often within 5 minutes of starting, it'll become something more specific, and then I go with that.
Hmm.
And sometimes I'll describe maybe two versions. This I'll describe a version which is very nonverbal. The very nonverbal one of several, but a very nonverbal one is I experience my body as the totality of mental experience that I can identify. Though it often does seem specifically, centered around my body. So often there will be a bit of imagery, and it'll have that weird quality that body imagery energy does, which is like, oh, well, my upper body's like a triangle that twists down, or weird, whatever weird shape. It's that like homunculus. It's not the real shape of your body. It's the shape of your mind's sense of your body.
Hmm.
And then in this one, I'll then start noticing what is not that. So I'll start noticing that those energy that energy pattern is in a space, and also that space is possibly enormous. Sometimes it feels like it's darkness, like I am in dark. I am some being of light in darkness, and that would make it seem like I feel holy in some way. I do feel like I am part of the divine, so I do feel like I'm part of the realm of spirits, in a way. And then often at that point, some emotional content will come up, and the emotional content might be despairing. So I will notice that here's this body stuff in this space of like darkness or emptiness or unknown, and then I will find some part of me that wishes that I were greater than that, or some part of me that's trying to be beyond some confinedness, or there's some tension and some drama to that dynamic. And then I often at that point, and I do wonder if people find this interesting. Nobody's saying anything, so hopefully they find it interesting. Often at that point, certain like common thoughts will go through my mind, or concepts. They're not always super duper verbal, but they're known concepts. For example, for example, and this is an intellectual belief that I have. I have the intellectual belief that the totality of goodness is in principle accessible to any person. I think I currently believe that it's already in our mind, and in our minds, and not accessed from the mindset we're usually in. And then, so if we go back to the scene we set, we got my body energy in the space, and then the despair and the tension and the drama of that, and then will come the idea that it is in my mind in some way, that whatever I'm reaching for is there already, and then there will start to be change in some sense, and then I just go with the grooves of that, and like and that will go wherever it goes, and it's energetic change, and it's often in the middle I'll start to like have some thought like, this is the best activity I ever do. Why am I not always doing this? And like some of that stuff will come up. Like this is just so like I can't believe that I can just become oriented and I'll leave these things behind. But then that too is complex because like no, well, can't just be one of these people that just prays all the time. You got to like do life. That's part of what you're despairing over is this life you're not engaging with adequately or in the ways you want to. And so, anyway, that's one of the things I'll do. I was going to describe two of them, but that's one of them. The other one I was going to describe it has a kind of similar trajectory, but it is more verbal, and I'll do more asking and maybe talking. Sometimes I'll talk to reflect on how my life has been going and stuff like that. One other subtype, because you're curious and I like talking about this, one other subtype is where when I go into it, not believing in any of this shit. It's when I start from a place of being like, what am I even asking? I know that 2 days ago I felt like I could contact some idea of God. Right now I like don't care or don't even know what that means or don't have anything to relate to that. And starting from there, I will often just ramble about that. I just generally start by rambling about that, and that will often lead me from that point of more distance to something that's more like the sequence I described. But not always, it's never perfectly reliable. If it were perfectly reliable, I wouldn't need to do it all the time. I'd already be there.